Button, button, Richard Matheson. The packets were lying by the front door, a cube-shaped carton sealed with tape. Their name and address printed by hand, Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Lewis, 21 7E, 37th Street, New York, Newark 10016. Norma picked it up, unlocked the door, and went into the apartment. It was just getting dark. After she put the lamp cups in the broiler, she sat down to open the package. Inside the carton was a push-button unit fastened to a small wooden box. Glasses dome covered the button. Norma tried to lift it off, but it was locked in place. She turned the unit over and saw a folded piece of paper, screw taped to the bottom of the box. She pulled it off. Mr. Stewart will call on you at 8 RT. Norma put the button unit beside her on the couch. She reread the typed note, smiling. A few moments later, she went back into the kitchen to make the salad. The doorbell rang at 8 o'clock. "I'll get it," Norma called from the kitchen. Arthur was in the living room, reading. There was a small man in the hallway. He removed his hat as Norma opened the door. "Mrs. Lewis?" he inquired coldly. "Yes?" "I'm Mr. Stewart." "Oh, yes." Norma repressed a smile. She was sure now it was a sales pitch. "May I come in?" asked Mr. Stewart. "I'm rather busy," Norma said. "I'll get your what?" Margaret thought. She started to turn. "Don't you want to know what it is?" Norma turned back. Mr. Stewart's tone had been offensive. "No, I don't think so," she replied. "It could prove very valuable," he told her. "Monetarily?" she challenged. Mr. Stewart nodded. "Monetarily," he said. Norma frowned. She didn't like his attitude. "What are you trying to sell?" she asked. "I'm not selling anything," he answered. Arthur came out of the living room. "Something wrong?" Mr. Stewart introduced himself. "Oh, the..." Arthur pointed toward the living room and smiled. "What is gadget anyway?" "It won't take long to explain," replied Mr. Stewart. "May I come in?" "If you're selling something," Arthur said. Mr. Stewart shook his head. "I'm not." Arthur looked at Norma. "Up to you," she said. He hesitated. "Well, why not?" he said. They went into the living room and Mr. Stewart sat in Norma's chair. He reached into an inside coat pocket and withdrew a small sealed envelope. "Inside here is a key to the bell unit drum," he said. He set the envelope and on the chair side table. "The bell is connected to our office." What it's for?" asked Arthur. "If you push the button," Mr. Stewart told him, "somewhere in the world, someone you don't know will die, in return for which you will receive a payment of $50,000. Norma stared at the small man. He was smiling. "What are you talking about?" Arthur asked him. Mr. Stewart looked surprised. "But I've just explained," he said. "In this per- practical joke?" asked Arthur. "Not at all. The offer is completely genuine." "You aren't making sense," Arthur said. "You expect to you expect us to believe." "Whom do you represent?" demanded Norma. Mr. Stewart looked embarrassed. "I'm afraid I'm not liberty to tell you that," he said. "However, I assure you, the organization is of international scope. I think you'd better leave," Arthur said, standing. Mr. Stewart rose. "Of course. And take your button unit with you. Are you sure you wouldn't care to think about it for a day or so?" Arthur picked up the button unit and the envelope and thrust them into Mr. Stewart's hands. He walked into the hall and pulled open the door. "I'll leave my card," said Mr. Stewart. He placed it on the table by the door. When he was gone, Arthur tore in half and tossed the piece onto the table. Norma was still sitting on the sofa. "What do you think it was?" she asked. "I don't care to know," he answered. She tried to smile but couldn't. "Aren't you curious at all?" "No." He shook his head. After Arthur returned to his book, Norma went back to the kitchen and finished washing the dishes. "Why won't you talk about it?" Norma asked. Arthur's eyes shifted as he brushed his teeth. He looked at his reflection in the bedroom mirror. "Doesn't it intrigue you?" "It offends me," Arthur said. "I know, but—" Norma rolled another color in her hair. "Doesn't it intrigue you, too? You think it's a practical joke?" she asked as they went into the bedroom. "If it is, it's a sick one." Norma sat on her bed and took off her slippers. "Maybe it's some kind of psychological research." Arthur struggled. "Could be. Maybe some eccentric millionaire is doing it. Maybe." "Wouldn't you like to know?" Arthur shook his head. "Why?" "Because it's immoral," he told her. Norma slid beneath the covers. "Well, I think it's intriguing," she said. Arthur turned off the lamp and leaned off the kissed hair. "Good night," he said. "Good night." She patted his back. Norma closed her eyes. $50,000, she thought. In the morning, as she left the apartment, Norma saw the card half on the table. Impulsively, she dropped them into her purse. She locked the front door and joined Arthur in the elevator. While she was on her coffee break, she took the card half from her purse and held the torn edge together. Only Mr. Stewart's name and telephone number were printed on the card. After lunch, she took the card half from the purse again and screw-taped the edge together. "Why am I doing this?" she thought. Just before leave, dial the number. "Good afternoon," said Mr. Stewart's voice. Norma almost hung up but restrained herself. She cleared the throat. "This is Mr. Lewis," she said. "Yes, Mrs. Lewis." Mr. Stewart sounded pleased. I'm curious. That's natural, Mr. Stewart said. Not that. I believe a word of what you told us, Stewart answered. Well, whatever, Norma slurred. When you said someone in the world would die, what did you mean? Exactly that. He answered it could be anyone. All we guarantee is that you don't know then, and of course, that you wouldn't have to watch then. For $50,000, Norma said. That is correct. She made a scoring sound. That's crazy. Nonetheless, that is proposition, Mr. Stewart said. Would you like me to return the button you need? Norma stiffened. Certainly not. She hung up angrily. The package was lying by the front door. Norma saw it as left the elevator well off all the nerve. She thought. She glared at the cartoon as she unlocked the door. I just won't take it in, she thought. She went inside and started dinner. Later, she went into the front hall. Opening the door, she picked up the package and carried it into the kitchen, leaving it on the table. She sat in the living room, looking out the window. After a while, she went back into the kitchen to turn the cutlass in the broiler. She put the package in a button cabinet. She threw it out in the morning. Maybe some eccentric millionaire is playing games with people, she said. Arthur looked up from his dinner. I don't understand you. What does career meaning? Let it go, he told her. Norma ate in silence. Suddenly she put her fork down. Suppose it's genius over, she said. Arthur stared at her. Suppose it's a genius over. All right, suppose it is. He looked incredulous. What would you like to? Get the button back and push it. Murder someone? Norma looked disgusted. Murder? How would you define it? If you don't even know the person, Norma said. Arthur looked astounded. Are you saying what I think you are? If it's some old Chinese peasant 10,000 miles away, some disease native in the Congo. How about a baby boy in Pennsylvania? Arthur countered. Some beautiful little girl on the next block. Now you're loading things? The point is Norma, he continued. What's the difference whom you kill? It's still murder. The point is, Norma broke. If it's someone you've never seen in your life and never will see, someone who's dead you don't even have to know, but you still wouldn't push the button. Arthur startled her, applied. You mean forward? $50,000, Arthur? What has the amount? $50,000, Arthur, Norma interrupted. A chance to take that trip to Europe we're always to talk about. Norma. No. A chance to buy that cottage on the island. Norma. No. His face was white. She shuddered. All right, take it easy, she said. Why are you getting so upset? It's only talk. After dinner, Arthur went into the living room. Before he left the table, he said, I'd rather not discuss it anymore, if you don't mind. Norma struggled. Fine, with me. She got up earlier than usual to make pancakes, eggs, and bacon for Arthur's breakfast. What's the occasion? He asked with a smile. No occasion. Norma looked offended. I want to do That's all. Good, he said. I'm glad you did. She refined his cup. Want to show you I'm not, she shrugged. Not what? Selfish. Did I say you were? Well, she gestured vaguely. Last night, Arthur didn't speak. Well, let's talk about the button, Norma said. I think you will misunderstood me. In what way? His voice was guarded. I think you felt, she gestured again, that I was only thinking of myself. I wasn't, Norma. Well, I wasn't when I thought about Europe, a cottage on the island. Norma, why are we getting so involved in this? I'm not involved at all. She drew in a shaking breath. I'm simply trying to indicate that. What? What I did like for us to go to Europe? Like for us to have a cottage on the island? Like for us have a nice apartment, nice furniture, nicer clothes, a car, like for us finally have a baby. For that matter, normal, we will, he said. When? He started at her in dismay. Normal, when? Are you? He seemed to draw back slightly. Are you really sighing? I'm saying, and they're probably doing it for some research project. He cut him off. That they want to know what average people would do under such a circumstance. That they're just saying someone would die in order to study reaction, see if there'd be killed and exactly whatever you don't think that will somebody do you. Arthur didn't answer. She saw his hands trembling. After a while, he got up and left. When he got to work, Norma remained at the table, staring into her coffee. I'm going to be late, she thought. She struggled. What difference did it make? She should be home anyway, no working in an office. While she was talking dishes, she turned abruptly, dried her hands, and looked the package from the button cabinet. Opening it, she set the button unit on the table. She stared at it for a long time before taking the key from its envelope and removing the glass dome. She started the button. How ridiculous, she thought. All this favor over a meaningless button. Reaching out, she pressed it down. For us, she thought angrily. She shuddered. Was it happening? A chill of horror swept across her. In a moment, it has passed. See a content noise. Ridiculous, she thought, to get so worked up over nothing. She threw the button unit down and key into the wastebasket basket and hurried to dress for work. She had just turned over the surprise sticks when the telephone rang. She picked up the receiver. Hello, Mrs. Lewis? Yes, this is the Lenoxville Hospital. She laughed unreal. The voice informed her of the subway accident. The showing crowd. Arthur pushed from the platform in from the train. She was conscious of shaking her head, but couldn't stop. As she hung up, she remembered Arthur's life insurance policy for $25,000 with double indemnity for. No, she couldn't seem to breathe. She struggled to her feet and walked into the kitchen numbly. Something cold pressed at her skull as he removed the button unit from the wastebasket. There were no nails or screws visible. She couldn't see how it was put together. Abruptly, she began to smash it on the sink's edge, pounding it harder and harder until the work split. She pulled sides apart, cutting her fingers without noticing. There were no transistors in the box, no wires or tubes. The box was empty. She waited with gasp as telephone rang. Stumbling into the living room, she picked up the receiver. "Mrs. Lewis," Mrs. Stewart asked. It wasn't the voice wrinkle, so it couldn't be. "No," sighed, "I wouldn't know the one that died." "My dear lady," Mrs. Stewart said, "do you really think you knew your husband?" And thank you.